Welcome to Sayless Projects. We believe in the power of shared stories to inspire action and possibility and to bring hope to people who need it most. Through storytelling and purposeful action, we promote mental health awareness and support efforts to prevent suicide. You'll hear from a wide range of guests, runners, creators, leaders, and everyday people, sharing what they have lived, what they have learned, and what helped them keep going. The truth is, none of this is meant to be carried alone. If you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or tired, you are not alone. This is the art of doing something about it.
Hi all, welcome to the Art of Doing Something About It. My name is Haley, and I'm here with Lexie, a charity runner for Sayless Year 3, Dallas to Austin. Welcome, Lexie.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I have to start off by telling my first introduction to you, which I think is cute, and I don't know if I fully told you it before, but Lexie and I know each other from work, and I was telling someone about how I was running the Dallas half marathon this past December, and they were like, oh my gosh, you have to meet Lexie. She's running the marathon too, and she's so fast and cool, and you two should be friends. And I think it was a couple days later that I finally, we were scheduled together, and I met you. And I was like, you're Lexie! And you were bartending, and you're like, yes, hello. And I was like, you run, I'm a runner. And now we run together, and now I was like, hey, do you want to do this insane project that my partner and I do? And you were like, sure. Mm-hmm. And here we are. Here we are. So I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Dallas? Where are you from? How did you kind of get into running? Give us a little intro.
Yeah, so that's always a loaded question. I feel like because I moved around so much as a kid. Originally born in Oregon. Moved between Oregon and Washington a bunch. When I was 18, 19, moved to New York. Loved the city, fell in love with everything about it. And then in 2023, I moved to Texas. Mm-hmm. And my journey running, I played individual sports as a kid. It was gymnastics and cheerleading and figure skating. So running was never, a main part in any of that except tumbling really vault. It was always a conditioning or I guess a punishment. So when I lived in New York, I did these boutique workout classes where half of it was on a treadmill, the other half was a weighted portion. And I just got into really good shape. I really enjoyed that. And then every once in a while I would just go out and I would run and I'd get lost in the city and explore. And I think one of the first times that I knew I loved running was I ran 9 miles, and I didn't even realize I had ran it. And I looked down and I was like, where am I? It's 9 miles. How did this happen? And then running my first marathon, it was to get out of a date.
I love this story. This is how I knew she was insane and that you needed to be on Say Less. So please, yes.
This guy wanted to go bowling with me, and I just don't like bowling. I think it as a two-person activity, it's just not the vibe. I think bowling's a great 12, 20, some people are bowling, some people are chatting. I like to chat, so I just don't like bowling. And I was younger, so me saying no, I don't want to do this, I couldn't just say that. For whatever reason, I just couldn't say that. So I lied and I said, I can't hang out that weekend. I'm running a marathon. I don't see this I don't know. And then I realized that I knew this person a little bit more in my circle, and I needed to actually run a race because they were going to ask me about it, and they knew people I knew, and apparently a marathon's a pretty big deal.
It is a pretty
And so I run this race, and I say it not all the time, but every time I'm going through doing something hard, nothing will ever be as hard as my first marathon. My Apple Watch died at mile 17. I did not take a single goo at all.
You're what is nutrition?
I had no idea. I had no idea about anything. I think the most I'd run was 11 or 12 miles.
I was gonna say probably that 9 mile random run.
I did not run like this. I finished it in 4 hours and 45 minutes. Still my best marathon time, even after now training and gooing and Garmining and still can't beat that first time. But after that I was hooked. I wanted to do more races and run further and longer and faster, and that little lie
I love
really helps me a lot.
I love how that lie was just like, you're like, well, I can't lie to this guy, so I obviously like have to go run a marathon
Right.
now. And you did it.
And I did.
And here you are.
And here I am.
And it's a great story. That's how much
Good.
Lexie hates bowling.
Yeah, no, I
What something people don't know about you, she hates bowling.
won't bowl.
Won't bowl. Transitioning into that, there is a certain phrase that you say, your mantra, and I have to bring it up right away.
Yeah.
I actually say it. I said it during my Sayless interview podcast before the Speed Project, because after hearing you say it at work, a lot of times, ironically, to the point where I think one day it was a little bit slow, and I went up to you and I was like, is this a corporate mantra or is this from you? And you're like, this is for me. And I was like, can you tell me more about that? And then you did. And I feel like it really gives you like a good like intro for your story into mental health and running. And so can you please share what that is, and then why it's important to you? Because I feel like it explains why you said less, you know?
To make what it feels like the longest story ever short, when I moved from New York to Texas, it was really hard for me. I did not see it coming. It was just not something I had planned for. And I think like being young, you see the world.
Yeah.
Just with these rose-colored glasses, and you don't realize that, like, oh, rent can be increased a lot, and like, your roommates might have other plans and whatever. So finding an apartment there just wasn't an option. So the option was to move in with my parents, who live in a small little lake town in Texas, 2 hours away from Dallas, and it was really isolating and hard, and I did not know what to do. I did not know what the next steps were going to be like for me. I didn't see a future for myself at all. So getting out of that it felt impossible. And I realized that if I wanted to make anything with my life, I was going to have to get a job in Dallas and drive 2 hours every day, one way.
That's insane.
To work in this restaurant that at the time I had no idea what it was going to mean on my life, but ended up being a really big part of it. But I would catch myself saying, I have to go to work today. No, we get to go to work. We get to be here, because what's my other option? Not being here, working at a job where I make a fraction of what I'm making here. Like, I get to be here. And I almost gaslit myself into just thinking that, like, I do get to be here. Yeah. I get to be experienced. Like, what a gift it is, a privilege to do hard things. And as much as it sucks in the moment, that's what carried me through 200 miles a day driving and just like being tired. And I did that for like 2.5 months before I got an apartment in Dallas. And, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. It was very hard, but like I can do anything. And I think that's like what I want out of this experience so badly. One, I'm always looking to be humbled. Yeah. I think I can do anything, and I have yet to be proven wrong. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep saying yes to things and until it like doesn't work in my favor. But also just, I get to. Yeah. I get to do hard things. I get to run 240 miles. So I'm really excited.
Would you say then that you've dealt with some mental health, have you dealt with depression or anxiety at all? Or have you had any personal experiences with that? It sounds like a little bit that you have, but.
When I was 16, I attempted suicide, which I think as a young teenager kind of going through depression, like, not only are you experiencing hormones and life and everything, but like I was a bad kid. I was getting into trouble, and I didn't have an outlet for things to be doing. My mom always said I needed to stay in a sport, but I was still getting into trouble. And I felt like a burden. I felt like a burden on my family. I felt like I was always messing up and doing the wrong thing and making the wrong choice. And I grew up in a very religious household that I just looked for every instance and excuse to rebel. And it was really, really hard. Very thankful that I am here. And, I get a second chance at life. But that very isolating time. I feel like in my early 20s not having a purpose, what felt like, and struggling with what I was going to be doing, and all my friends are doing X, Y, and Z, and not seeing myself in that. Being able to, one, recognize the signs of your own depression and when to ask for help, like, very thankful in ways of seeing how it feels to be that low, because now as an adult I can recognize habits and behaviors of like I'm slipping into not a good spot. Like I need to get back on medication, I need to seek help. So I'm in ways grateful, but also, I mean, figuring that out's never fun.
No. I mean, I've dealt with that too at a young age, at a young age, and I also attempted a little bit in my earlier 20s, and so I just really resonate with what you're saying, because it's awful, but if you make it through and figure out, you kind of start to figure out your tellings of like, oh, I'm getting low right now, and it can come out of nowhere too. You could be doing really well, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm slipping. Like,
well, and I think especially this more than I think other people, but what's happened with my job and like the period of time I went through in November, until I feel like recently when I got a new job.
Yes,
but
congrats.
Just thank you. You offering a position on the Sayless team, like I don't know if you knew I needed it or how, but like you saw that I needed something, and so grateful to that. So grateful.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because the world just I think like with what you're saying is like when you start to recognize the signs in yourself, you can kind of start to see it in others too. And so not that I knew 100% what was going on, because we were still fairly newly coworkers and whatnot, but I was just like, she's into running. You had shared your story about I get to the reason why behind that, and I really thought that was amazing. I started saying it to myself like in a very serious way, because I was training and trying to get myself out of a bit of a hole, and I was like, I get to be here, I get to exercise, I get to do this. I became kind of my mantra, which is I just really love that saying. I wrote it on my hand for a speed project actually that I ran. I wrote I get to be here, and it's like it makes me so emotional because it's like such a privilege, and I'm sure you and I both know people who are no longer here as well. And so it's like, wow, it's an honor. But it was funny because I had told Vincent I had met you, and I had said, I really want this woman like Lexie I met at work. She's so cool. I think she would really fit well into this project. And we hadn't launched the team yet. And we had a friend we'd invited. And this friend had some personal stuff going on, just so they couldn't commit to like this year doing the relay. Kind of last minute, had to step away. And they're okay, but they just had, other commitments in life. And so, I was like, Vincent had texted me about that. I was at work and I was like, Lexie. And he's like, what? And I go, I'm going to talk to Lexie right now. Is that cool? And he was like, sure. Yeah, sure. Do you think, you can have like 3 days to say yes, because we have to like launch this team and get going. And I just knew, I don't know how to get feeling that you needed to be.
Well, I was like, yeah.
And I knew you would say,
Of course I want to do that.
I was
sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I was like, she's insane. She just kind of goes and does marathons for fun sometimes. I would say, what is, sorry, there's like too many good questions. Okay. And we're approaching our time. But if someone is in a hard season right now, what would you want to tell them? Or what would you hope that people take away from seeing you do this project?
Yeah. I think replace every I have to with an I get to. I think something that I've thought about recently is how powerful your brain is. Something my mom used to tell me all the time growing up is your brain's powerful enough to make you sick. Like the thoughts you think and tell yourself, like that happens. Yeah. I'm somebody who believes in manifestation and like your thoughts control things, and
no, I mean they do.
But they really do. And I just think if your brain, something that is instinctively meant to keep you alive, can convince you that like you're a burden, you're worthless, you shouldn't be here. Imagine if you told yourself those things in like a positive way of like, I get to be here. I get to do hard things. Like, what a privilege. Like just change every negative thought you ever have about yourself with something positive, and there's just no way you wouldn't be able to achieve anything you ever wanted. Yeah. So that's what I hope.
I love that. That's so great. And
thank you.
And I think too, it's not to diminish you know, if you are in a tough time,
No.
you know, but it can help a lot with those
Well, and
little...
there's always options. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes it seems like a long tunnel,
Yeah.
but there's another side. Like, I promise. I promise on everything. Like, there is a world that is just so great, and yeah.
I have to agree with you. As two ladies who have made it to the other side, guys, it gets really good.
It really does.
It gets so cool.
It does.
There's so many other cool things. You know, 6 months ago, you weren't running from Dallas to Austin,
No.
and now you're going to be in a van with 11 other people.
I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for sharing. We're excited to follow you along. Sayless Projects, if you resonated with anything that Lexie shared and you're listening and support this mission, please share this episode and help us turn action into impact. And most importantly, keep going, and we get to.
We get to. Amen. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode. If this resonated with you, the art of doing something about it, I would love for you to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram at Sayless Projects. Also, we're a nonprofit. You can visit and learn more about us at saylessprojects.com and help us to continue to inspire action and possibility. And most of all, keep going.